The rain fell hard on the streets of Seoul. Daesung stood outside the Grand Assembly Hall, watching the water run down the steps. He wore his old military uniform. It still fit, but it felt heavy on his shoulders. 5 years had passed since he left Earth to fight in the Interstellar Defense Corps. 5 years of war, blood, and sleepless nights. Now he was home, and he did not know how to feel about it. Inside the hall, hundreds of people waited. Ambassadors from different planets, government officials, news reporters with cameras. They were all there for the peace ceremony. The war between Earth and the Valtari Empire had ended 3 months ago. Today was supposed to be about friendship and new beginnings. Daesung did not care much about ceremonies. He just wanted to go home to his small apartment and sleep. But the military had called him. They said his presence was required. They said the Valtari king himself wanted to honor the human soldiers who fought bravely. A young officer approached him. "Sir, they are ready for you inside." Daesung nodded and followed the officer through the main doors. The hall was massive. Gold decorations covered the walls. Bright lights hung from the ceiling. People stood in neat rows, all dressed in expensive clothes. At the front of the hall, on a raised platform, sat King Theron of the Valtari Empire. The king was tall, even while sitting. His skin was pale blue and his eyes glowed like silver coins. He wore robes made of material that seemed to shift colors. 2 guards stood beside him, holding long staffs that hummed with energy. Daesung walked down the center aisle. People turned to watch him. Some whispered to each other. He kept his eyes forward and his back straight. Old habits from the military. When he reached the platform, he stopped and bowed slightly. The king stood up. The room fell silent. "Soldier Daesung," King Theron said. His voice was deep and clear. "You fought with honor. You saved many lives, both human and Valtari. Today I wish to give you a gift as thanks." Daesung felt uncomfortable. He did not want gifts. He wanted to forget the war. But he could not refuse a king in front of all these people. King Theron raised one hand. The doors at the side of the hall opened. 2 Valtari guards walked in. Between them, they led a creature on a thick chain. The creature walked on 4 legs like a wolf, but it was much larger. Its fur was dark gray with streaks of silver. Its eyes were bright and intelligent. As it came closer, Daesung could see that it was not a normal animal. Its body was too muscular, too perfect, and there was something in its eyes that looked almost human. The crowd began to whisper. Some people gasped. Others made sounds of disgust. Daesung heard the word wolfkin repeated several times. The guards brought the creature to the platform and removed the chain. It sat down on its haunches and looked directly at Daesung. "This is Moonshadow," King Theron said. "He is a wolfkin, a hybrid of your Earth wolves and our Valtari genetics. He was created during the war as an experiment. The project was stopped and the wolfkin were scattered. I give him to you now." Daesung stared at the creature. Moonshadow stared back. There was intelligence in those eyes. "Real deep intelligence, Your Majesty," Daesung said carefully. "I do not understand." "Why would you give me this creature?" King Theron smiled, but the smile did not reach his eyes. "Because you are a man who values life, and because no one else wants him. Wolfkin are despised by my people. They are seen as abominations, mistakes. But they are alive and they deserve to exist somewhere." The crowd whispered louder. Daesung could hear the disapproval in their voices. He looked at the other Valtari in the room. They all had expressions of disgust or anger. Even the human officials looked uncomfortable. Then Moonshadow spoke. "Hello, Daesung." The voice was deep and clear. It spoke perfect Korean. The creature's mouth did not move like a human's, but the words were unmistakable. Daesung took a step back. His heart pounded in his chest. The room erupted in noise. People shouted in surprise. Cameras flashed. The guards moved forward, but King Theron waved them away. "Yes," the king said calmly. "They can speak. That is part of what makes them so disturbing to my people. They look like beasts but talk like us. They are neither one thing nor another." Daesung looked at Moonshadow again. The creature had not moved. It sat there patiently, watching him with those intelligent eyes. "Can you really understand me?" Daesung asked. "Yes," Moonshadow replied. "I understand everything. I was made to be smart." "Too smart," they said. "That is why they stopped making us." The crowd grew louder. Officials argued with each other. Some demanded that the king take the creature back. Others said it was an insult to give such a thing to a war hero. King Theron raised his hand and the room fell silent again. The gift is given. It cannot be taken back. That is our law. Daesung, you may accept or refuse, but if you refuse, the Wolfkin will be destroyed. We have no place for them in our empire. Daesung felt anger rise in his chest. This was not a gift. This was a test. Or maybe it was a burden that the king did not want to carry himself. Either way, it was cruel. He looked at Moonshadow one more time. The creature looked back. There was no pleading in its eyes. No begging, just acceptance. As if it already knew what would happen. Daesung had seen enough death in the war. He had watched friends die. He had killed enemies who were just following orders like he was. He was tired of death, I accept, he said. The room exploded with noise again. King Theron nodded slowly. Then he is yours. Treat him as you wish. He is property under our law. He is not property, Daesung said quietly, but only Moonshadow heard him. The ceremony continued, but Daesung barely paid attention. He stood at the side of the room with Moonshadow sitting beside him. People stared at them, some with curiosity, most with disgust. When it was finally over, Daesung walked out of the hall. Moonshadow followed without being told. The rain had stopped. The streets were wet and shining under the lights. Where do we go now? Moonshadow asked. Daesung looked at the creature. His life had just become much more complicated. Home, he said. We go home. They walked through the streets of Seoul together. A man and a wolf that could speak. People stopped and stared. Some took pictures. Others hurried away. Daesung ignored them all. He did not know what he had gotten himself into. But he knew one thing. He had made a choice, and he would live with it. Daesung's apartment was small. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room that barely fit a couch and a table. He had not been home in 5 years, but his sister Hana had kept the place clean. She had even left fresh food in the refrigerator. Moonshadow stood in the doorway looking inside. His large body took up most of the space. You can come in, Daesung said. The Wolfkin walked inside carefully. His claws clicked on the wooden floor. He sniffed the air, learning the smells of the apartment. Daesung closed the door and locked it. He took off his uniform jacket and hung it on a hook. Underneath, his shirt was soaked with sweat. The ceremony had been more stressful than any battle. Are you hungry? He asked. Moonshadow sat down in the middle of the living room. I have not eaten in 2 days. They do not feed us much. Daesung felt a flash of anger. He went to the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. There was chicken, rice, and vegetables. He heated up the chicken and put it in a large bowl. He carried it to Moonshadow. The Wolfkin looked at the food, then at Daesung. Thank you. He ate slowly, carefully, not like a wild animal, more like someone who had been taught manners. Daesung sat on the couch and watched. His body felt heavy. The apartment was quiet except for the sounds of Moonshadow eating. Outside, he could hear the traffic on the streets. Seoul was always loud, always moving. When Moonshadow finished, he licked the bowl clean and looked at Daesung. Why did you accept me? It was a good question. Daesung had been asking himself the same thing. Because you did not deserve to die, he said. You did not ask to be created. You did not start the war. It would be wrong to kill you for existing. Moonshadow's ears moved slightly. Most people do not think that way. Most people see me and feel disgust. Or fear. I have seen too much death, Daesung said quietly. I am tired of it. They sat in silence for a while. Daesung felt his eyes getting heavy. He had not slept well in weeks. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the war. The explosions. The bodies. The faces of friends who did not come home. You have nightmares, Moonshadow said. It was not a question. Daesung looked at him. How do you know? I can hear your heart beating fast. I can smell the sweat. And I can see it in your eyes. You are always ready to fight even now. Even here. Daesung leaned back on the couch. The doctors call it PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. They gave me pills, but they do not help much. I understand, Moonshadow said. I have nightmares too. They used us in experiments. They tested our bodies, our minds. They wanted to know how much pain we could endure, how smart we really were. Some of us died in those tests. I remember their screams. Daesung looked at the Wolfkin with new understanding. They were both soldiers in a way. Both had been used by others for war. Both carried scars that did not show on the outside. I am sorry, Daesung said. You do not need to be sorry. You did not hurt me. You saved me. The door suddenly opened. Daesung jumped to his feet, his body tense. But it was only Hana. His younger sister stood in the doorway holding bags of groceries. She was 23 years old with long black hair and bright eyes. When she saw Moonshadow, she froze. "Appa," she said slowly. "Why is there a giant wolf in your living room?" "His name is Moonshadow," Daesung said. "He was a gift from the Valtari king. He is staying here now." Hana put down the groceries. She stepped closer, studying Moonshadow carefully. The wolfkin did not move. He sat still, letting her look at him. "He is beautiful," she said finally. Moonshadow's tail moved slightly. "Thank you," Hana gasped and jumped back. "He talks." "Yes," Daesung said. "He is not a normal wolf. He is a wolfkin, part Valtari, part earth wolf. He is intelligent." Hana's shock turned to curiosity. She moved closer again. "Can I pet you?" Moonshadow looked at Daesung, then back at Hana. "If you wish." She reached out slowly and touched his head. His fur was thick and soft. She ran her fingers through it and Moonshadow closed his eyes. For a moment he looked almost peaceful. "The news is going crazy," Hana said to Daesung. "Everyone is talking about the king's gift. They are saying it was an insult, that he gave you a monster." "There are already protests," Daesung was not surprised. "People fear what they do not understand." Hana continued petting Moonshadow. "Are they right? Is he dangerous?" "I could be," Moonshadow said. "I was made for war. But I do not want to hurt anyone. I just want to exist," Hana smiled. "Then you can stay. Anyone who is important to my brother is welcome here." Over the next few days, a routine developed. Daesung would wake up early, usually from nightmares. Moonshadow would be awake too, sitting by the window watching the sunrise. They would eat breakfast together. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they sat in silence. Hana visited often. She brought food and news from outside. The protests had grown larger. Some people wanted all wolfkin to be sent back to the Valtari Empire. Others wanted them destroyed. A few brave voices said they should be given rights and freedom. Daesung tried not to watch the news. It only made him angry. One night he woke up screaming. He was back on the battlefield. Plasma fire lit up the sky. His friend Taemin was dying in his arms, blood everywhere. He could not stop it. He could not save him. Strong jaws gently grabbed his arm. Not biting, just holding. Daesung's eyes opened. He was in his bedroom. Moonshadow was beside the bed looking at him with calm eyes. "You are safe," Moonshadow said. "You are home. The war is over." Daesung's breathing slowed. His heart stopped pounding. He put his hand on Moonshadow's head and closed his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. After that night, Moonshadow slept in Daesung's room. When the nightmares came, the wolfkin was there. His presence was calming, solid, real. They talked more. Moonshadow told stories about the other wolfkin, about how they were kept in cages, how they were forced to fight each other to test their abilities, how they dreamed of freedom. Daesung told stories about Earth, about his childhood, about his parents who had died when he was young, about how he joined the military because he had nowhere else to go. "We are similar," Moonshadow said one evening. "Both of us were alone. Both of us were used by others. Both of us are trying to find where we belong." Daesung nodded. It was true. He had not felt like he belonged anywhere in a long time. Not in the military. Not on other planets. Not even here in Seoul. But sitting here with Moonshadow, talking in the quiet apartment, he felt something close to peace. "Maybe we belong here," Daesung said. Together, Moonshadow's tail wagged once. "I would like that." Hana came over with dinner that night. They ate together, the three of them. She told funny stories about her job at the university. She made them laugh. For a few hours, they forgot about the protests and the angry people. They forgot about the war and the nightmares. They were just three beings sharing a meal and enjoying each other's company. Later, after Hana left, Daesung and Moonshadow sat by the window. The city lights sparkled below them. Thousands of lives all moving and living and struggling. "Do you think people will ever accept wolfkin?" Moonshadow asked. Daesung thought about it. "I do not know. People can be stupid. They fear change. They fear what is different. But people can also learn. They can grow. It takes time. Do we have time?" Moonshadow asked quietly. That was the real question. Outside, the anger was growing. And Daesung had a feeling that something was coming. Something bad, but tonight they were safe. Tonight they had each other. We will make time, Daesung said. Moonshadow rested his head on Daesung's leg, and together they watched the city lights until sleep finally came. Moonshadow woke up in a cage. His body ached from the electric shock. The cage was made of thick metal bars. Around him he could see other cages. Each one held a wolfkin. He counted 12. Some were awake, watching him with frightened eyes. Others lay still, either unconscious or dead. He could not tell which. The room was large and cold. Metal walls, concrete floor, bright lights overhead that hurt his eyes. It looked like a factory, just as Park had predicted. "You are awake." The voice came from outside his cage. A human man stood there wearing a military uniform. His badge said his name was Donghyun. "Good, we need you healthy. What do you want?" Moonshadow asked. Donghyun smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You are going to help us win a war, whether you want to or not." He walked away. Moonshadow looked at the other wolfkin. One in the cage next to him was awake. She was smaller than him with white and gray fur. "Who are you?" she asked quietly. "My name is Moonshadow. I am here to help." "Help?" She laughed bitterly. "No one helps us. We are tools, weapons, that is all we have ever been." "That is not true," Moonshadow said. "There are humans who care, who see us as equals. My friend Daesung is one of them." The white wolfkin looked at him with doubt in her eyes. "If you have such a friend, why are you here?" "Because I chose to be. To stop these people. To save our kind." Before she could answer, a door opened. 2 Valtari soldiers entered. They were tall and moved with confidence. Behind them came someone else, a Valtari officer with dark blue skin and silver armor. His presence filled the room with authority. This must be General Vex, Moonshadow thought. The general walked between the cages, inspecting each wolfkin like they were products in a store. When he reached Moonshadow's cage, he stopped. "This one is different," Vex said. His voice was cold. "This is the one given to the human soldier, Moonshadow." "Yes, General," Donghyun said. He had returned with the Valtari. "We were lucky to capture him." "Or unlucky," Vex said. "King Theron gave him away for a reason. He may be compromised." Moonshadow kept his expression neutral. The contact lens in his eye was recording everything. He needed to stay calm. "He is just an animal," Donghyun said. "What does it matter?" Vex turned to look at the human. His silver eyes were filled with contempt. "They are not animals. That was the mistake we made before. They are intelligent. Too intelligent. That is why we must control them properly this time." He turned back to Moonshadow. "Tell me, Wolfkin, did you come here willingly?" Moonshadow thought fast. He needed to seem broken, defeated. "I had no choice. The humans were going to kill me. I ran. Your men caught me. It was a lie, but a believable one." Vex studied him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "We shall see. Beginning tomorrow, we start the conditioning process. We will break your will. We will rebuild you as proper weapons. And then we will use you to destroy the human colonies. After that, we will turn you against your former masters." He looked at Donghyun. "All of them." Donghyun did not seem to understand the threat in those words. But Moonshadow did. Vex planned to betray the humans as soon as he had what he wanted. The Valtari left. Donghyun followed. The lights dimmed. Moonshadow was alone with the other wolfkin again. "You are brave to resist," the white wolfkin said. "But it will not matter. They will break us. They always do." "Not this time," Moonshadow said. "Help is coming." He hoped he was right. Back in Seoul, Daesung was losing his mind. 3 days had passed since Moonshadow was captured. The tracker was still working. The contact lens had sent back video footage. They knew where he was. They knew what was happening, but Park insisted they wait. "We need more," Park said. "We need proof of the full conspiracy, names, evidence that we can show the council. If we move too soon, Vex and his allies will escape. They will try again." "Moonshadow could die waiting," Daesung said angrily. "I know. But if we fail, all wolfkin will die. Every single one. You have to think bigger than just one life." Daesung wanted to punch him, but he knew Park was right. This was war, even if no one was shooting yet. In war, you sometimes had to sacrifice pieces to win the game. But Moonshadow was not a piece. He was a friend. That night, new footage came through. The contact lens showed the conditioning process Vex had mentioned. Wolfkin were forced to fight each other. They were shocked with electricity when they refused orders. They were starved and beaten. Moonshadow fought back. He refused to hurt the other wolfkin. They shocked him until he collapsed. But when he woke up, he refused again. Daesung watched the footage with tears in his eyes. Hana sat beside him, holding his hand. "He is so strong," she whispered. "He should not have to be," Daesung said. On the fourth day, something changed. The contact lens recorded a conversation between Vex and a Valtari official from the homeworld. The official was authorizing Vex to begin military operations against human colonies. He provided ship codes and weapons clearances. "That is it," Park said. "That is proof that the Valtari government is involved. At least part of it." He immediately sent the footage to the Interstellar Council and to Earth's military command. Within hours, response came back. The council was meeting an emergency session. Earth's military was preparing for possible conflict. "Now we move," Park said. "We raid the factory. We save the wolfkin. And we capture Vex and Donghyun alive. We need them to testify." Park had assembled a team of 50 soldiers, all veterans, all volunteers. They flew to the mountains in stealth aircraft. Daesung was with them, wearing combat armor again. It felt strange after weeks of civilian life. They landed a kilometer from the factory. The night was dark and cold. They moved silently through the trees. Daesung's heart pounded. This was it. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The factory had guards, 20 humans with military weapons. They took positions around the building. Park's team moved carefully, taking out guards silently. No alarms, not yet. They reached the main entrance. Park signaled. The team split into 3 groups. One would secure the building. One would find Vex and Donghyun. And one, led by Daesung, would free the wolfkin. They blew the door open. Alarms blared. Gunfire erupted. The battle had begun. Daesung ran through corridors, his rifle ready. 2 guards appeared. He shot them both, non-lethal rounds that knocked them unconscious. He did not want to kill if he could avoid it. These men were misguided, but they were still human. He found the room with the cages. Moonshadow was there, battered and exhausted but alive. Their eyes met. "Took you long enough," Moonshadow said weakly. Daesung shot the lock off the cage. Moonshadow stumbled out. Daesung caught him before he fell. "I have got you," Daesung said. "I have got you." He opened the other cages. 12 wolfkin, all weak but alive. They followed him as he led them toward the exit. But Vex was waiting. The Valtari general stood in the corridor with 10 armed soldiers. His weapons were raised. "You will not leave here," Vex said. "The wolfkin belong to us." "They belong to no one," Daesung said. He raised his rifle. Moonshadow stepped forward, standing between Daesung and Vex. Even injured, even weak, he stood tall. "We are not weapons," Moonshadow said. "We are not tools. We are alive. We are free, and we will not let you use us again." The other wolfkin moved to stand beside him, all 13 of them forming a line. "Humans and wolfkin together," Vex laughed. "You are fools. All of you." He raised his weapon. But before he could fire, an explosion rocked the building. Part of the ceiling collapsed. In the chaos, Park's team rushed in from another entrance. They surrounded Vex and his soldiers. "Drop your weapons," Park ordered. "You are under arrest by order of the Interstellar Council." Vex looked around. He was outnumbered, outmaneuvered. His soldiers dropped their weapons. Slowly, Vex lowered his. "This changes nothing," he said. "The war will come. Humanity will fall." "Maybe," Park said, "but not today." They secured Vex and Donghyun. The wolfkin were taken to medical evacuation ships. Daesung stayed with Moonshadow the whole time. "You did it," Daesung said. "You stopped them." Moonshadow leaned against him, exhausted. "We stopped them, together. The battle was over." But Daesung knew this was just the beginning. 2 weeks passed. Daesung and Moonshadow had settled into their life together. But the world outside was not peaceful. One morning, Daesung turned on the television. The news reporter's face was serious. "Another attack last night. 3 wolfkin were found dead in Busan. This brings the total to 15 deaths in the past 10 days. Police say they are investigating, but no arrests have been made." Daesung felt cold. He looked at Moonshadow, who was sitting beside him. "They are hunting us," Moonshadow said quietly. "One by one." "Not all of them are being killed," Hana said. She had stayed over the night before and was making breakfast in the kitchen. "Some are disappearing." The news said 5 wolfkin vanished without a trace. Daesung turned off the television. His military instincts were kicking in. This was not random violence. This was organized. Someone had a plan. His phone rang. The screen showed a number he did not recognize. He answered it carefully. Dae-sung. The voice was familiar. It took him a moment to place it. Colonel Park, his old commanding officer. Sir, Dae-sung said, we need to talk. In person. Come to the old base in Dongdushan. Come alone, but bring the Wolfkin. This is important. The line went dead. Moonshadow was watching him. Something is wrong. Colonel Park wants to meet us. At the military base, is it safe? Dae-sung did not know, but Park had saved his life twice during the war. He trusted the man. We will find out, he said. They took a train north to Dongducheon. The military base there was old, built before the war. Many of the buildings were empty now. The soldiers had been moved to newer facilities. Colonel Park waited for them in a warehouse at the edge of the base. He was a short man with gray hair and sharp eyes. 3 other soldiers stood with him. Dae-sung recognized them all. They had served together. Good you came, Park said. He looked at Moonshadow with interest. So this is the famous Wolfkin. His name is Moonshadow, Dae-sung said. Park nodded. I am sorry to call you here like this, but we have a problem. A big one. He pulled out a tablet and showed Dae-sung the screen. It displayed a map of Korea. Red dots marked locations all over the country. These are the locations where Wolfkin were killed or disappeared, Park explained. Look at the pattern. Dae-sung studied the map. At first it seemed random, but then he saw it. The dots formed a line. They were moving south toward Seoul. Someone is collecting them, Moonshadow said. He had moved closer to look at the screen. Or someone is eliminating them systematically. We think both, Park said. Military intelligence intercepted communications between a Valtari group and some human extremists. They are working together. The extremists kill some Wolfkin to cause fear and anger. The Valtari group takes the others. Why? Dae-sung asked. What do they want with them? Park hesitated. He looked at the other soldiers, then back at Dae-sung. The war may be over officially, but some people on both sides do not want peace. They want revenge, and they think Wolfkin are the key. He tapped the tablet again. A file opened. It showed technical diagrams and scientific reports. Dae-sung could not understand most of it, but one word stood out. Weapon. During the war, the Valtari created Wolfkin as experimental soldiers, Park explained. But the project was stopped because the Wolfkin were too intelligent. They questioned orders. They refused to kill without reason. They were failures as weapons. But now, one of the other soldiers said, someone wants to try again. They think they can control the Wolfkin. Use them as weapons against humans. Start the war again. Moonshadow's body had gone rigid. His fur stood on end. They want to use my people as tools for war. Again. Not just that, Park said grimly. We also found evidence that King Theron knew about this. We think that is why he gave Moonshadow to you, Dae-sung. He wanted to get rid of the evidence. He did not want the Wolfkin in his empire because they could reveal the truth about the weapons program. Dae-sung felt betrayed. So the gift was not about honor. It was about hiding a secret. Probably, Park said. But that is not the worst part. The group taking the Wolfkin is not just any group. It is led by General Vex, a high-ranking Valtari military officer. He wants to restart the war. He believes humans are inferior and should be conquered. And the human extremists? Dae-sung asked. They are led by a man named Dong-hyun. He lost his family in the war. Now he hates all aliens. He thinks helping Vex will give him access to Valtari weapons. He plans to betray Vex and use those weapons against all aliens. Moonshadow let out a low growl. So both sides want to use my people. And both sides see us as nothing more than tools. What do you need from us? Dae-sung asked Park. We need proof, Park said. Solid evidence that we can show to the Interstellar Council. If we can prove that General Vex and his group are planning to restart the war, we can stop them. But we need someone on the inside. Someone they would not suspect. He looked at Moonshadow. We need a Wolfkin. You. Moonshadow stood up straighter. You want me to let them capture me? Yes, we have been tracking their movements. They will be in Seoul in 3 days. If you are there, they will take you. We can put a tracker on you. You can gather information from inside their facility. That is too dangerous, Dae-sung said immediately. What if they hurt him? What if the tracker fails? Then we will come for him anyway, Park said. I will not leave him there. You have my word. Moonshadow looked at Dae-sung. This is my choice. My people are dying. My people are being taken. I can help stop it. You could die, Daesung said. I was made for war, Moonshadow replied. But I do not want more war. I want peace. If I can help achieve that, then the risk is worth it. Daesung wanted to argue. He wanted to find another way. But he knew Moonshadow was right. This might be their only chance to stop the conspiracy. I am coming with you, Daesung said. No, Park said. If they see you, they will be suspicious. You are too well known now, the war hero with the wolfkin. They will know it is a trap. Daesung felt helpless. He had spent the last 2 weeks building trust with Moonshadow. They had become friends. Maybe more than friends. They understood each other in ways others could not. Now he had to let Moonshadow walk into danger alone. I will be okay, Moonshadow said. He put his large head against Daesung's hand. You saved me once. Now let me save others. They spent the next 2 days preparing. Park's team installed a small tracker under Moonshadow's skin. It was hidden and could not be detected easily. They gave him a contact lens that could record video, and they taught him codes to use if he needed immediate extraction. Hana came to say goodbye. She hugged Moonshadow, tears in her eyes. You better come back. You are family now. I will try, Moonshadow promised. On the 3rd day, they set the trap. Moonshadow went to a park in southern Seoul. He walked alone, visible to anyone watching. Daesung watched from a distance, hidden in a van with Park and the other soldiers. They had surveillance equipment tracking everything. 2 hours passed. Then a black vehicle pulled up near the park. 4 humans got out. They wore masks and carried electric weapons. They moved toward Moonshadow quickly. Moonshadow did not run. He let them approach. They fired the electric weapons. Blue lightning hit Moonshadow's body. He collapsed, pretending to be unconscious. The men grabbed him and threw him into the vehicle. It drove away fast. Daesung's hands were shaking. Every instinct told him to chase them, to fight, to save his friend. Easy, Park said. The tracker is working. We can follow him. On the screen, a red dot moved through the city. It headed north out of Seoul toward the mountains. Where are they taking him? One of the soldiers asked. Park typed on his computer, following the signal. There is an old factory in those mountains. It was abandoned years ago. Perfect place for a secret base. How long until we move in? Daesung asked. We need to wait, Park said. We need evidence first. We need to know who else is involved. Moonshadow understands this. He will gather what we need. Daesung watched the red dot on the screen. It had stopped moving. Moonshadow was at the factory now. All they could do was wait, and hope their plan worked. Hope that Moonshadow would survive. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The Interstellar Council brought together representatives from 50 different worlds. They watched the footage from Moonshadow's contact lens. They heard testimony from the rescued wolfkin. They examined evidence of the conspiracy. General Vex stood in chains, his face showing no emotion. Donghyun broke down and confessed everything, hoping for mercy. He got none. The council found them both guilty of crimes against peace. Vex was sentenced to life imprisonment on a maximum security station. Donghyun received the same sentence. Others involved in the conspiracy were arrested across both human and Valtari territories. But the most important decision came on the final day of the trial. The council voted to recognize wolfkin as fully sentient beings with all rights and protections under interstellar law. They were no longer property. They were no longer experiments. They were citizens, free to live where they chose and do what they wished. When the announcement came, Daesung was sitting in his apartment with Moonshadow and Hana. They watched the broadcast together. The council leader, a being from a distant world, spoke clearly. The wolfkin were created by war, but they do not belong to war. They are proof that intelligence and consciousness can emerge in unexpected forms. They deserve our respect. They deserve their freedom. From this day forward, any harm against wolfkin will be treated as harm against any citizen of the council. They are under our protection. Moonshadow's ears went up. His tail wagged slowly. Daesung put his hand on his friend's head. You are free, he said. Truly free. Moonshadow looked at him with those intelligent eyes. What do I do with freedom? It was a good question. Many of the rescued wolfkin struggled with the same thing. They had been created as weapons. They had lived in cages. They did not know how to be anything else. But some found their way. The white wolfkin that Moonshadow had met in the factory whose name was Silver, became a teacher. She started a school for young Wolfkin, teaching them about the galaxy and their rights. She taught them they could be more than what they were made to be. Others became explorers, traveling to different worlds. Some became artists, creating beautiful works that expressed their unique perspective. A few joined the military, but this time as volunteers, fighting to protect others rather than conquer them. And Moonshadow found his calling too. 1 month after the trial, he stood in front of a large assembly at the Interstellar Council headquarters. Hundreds of beings from different worlds had gathered to hear him speak. He was nervous, but Daesung stood beside him offering support. "My name is Moonshadow," he began. His voice was clear and strong. "I was created as a weapon. I was meant to fight, to kill, to obey without question. But I learned something important. I learned that being created for one purpose does not mean you must serve that purpose forever." He paused, looking at all the faces watching him. Humans, Valtari, beings he could not name. All listening. I met a human named Daesung. He was a soldier like I was supposed to be. But he chose to save me instead of using me. He chose to see me as a person, not a tool. That choice changed everything. Daesung felt emotion rising in his chest. He had not expected Moonshadow to talk about him like this. "The Council has given Wolfkin our freedom," Moonshadow continued. "But freedom is not enough. We need purpose. We need a place in this galaxy. That is why I am proposing something new. I want to create an organization that helps all beings who have been used as tools, soldiers who cannot adjust to peace, beings who were created for one purpose and need help finding another. We will call it the Bridge." The assembly was silent. Then slowly one being started clapping, then another. Soon the entire room was filled with applause. After the speech, beings lined up to talk to Moonshadow. They offered support, resources, volunteers. The Bridge would become reality. Daesung stood back, watching. He felt proud. Moonshadow had grown so much in just a few months. From a frightened creature in a cage to a leader speaking before the council. An official from the council approached Daesung. She was a tall being with blue skin and multiple arms. "Soldier Daesung, the council has a request. We would like Moonshadow to become an official ambassador. He would represent Wolfkin interests in the council. Would you support this?" Daesung thought about it. Being an ambassador would mean Moonshadow would travel often. He would be busy. They would not see each other as much, but it was also a great honor. And more importantly, it was what Moonshadow wanted. "You should ask him," Daesung said. "He makes his own choices now." The official nodded and walked away. Later, when Moonshadow heard the offer, he accepted immediately. "But I have a condition," Moonshadow said. "I want Daesung to be my advisor. I cannot do this alone. I need someone I trust." The council agreed. Daesung found himself with a new job. No more military. No more fighting. Now he would help build bridges between species. It felt right. Over the next year, things changed rapidly. More Wolfkin were found living and hiding across the galaxy. The bridge helped them adjust to their new freedom. Some thrived. Others struggled. But all of them had a choice now. King Theron was forced to abdicate his throne. The Valtari people learned about his role in the weapons program. They were ashamed and angry. A new leader took power, one who promised transparency and peace. Donghyun's human extremist group fell apart. Most members were arrested. A few escaped but had no power or resources. They became footnotes in history. And slowly, very slowly, people's attitudes began to change. Seeing Moonshadow speak at the council, seeing Wolfkin work and live peacefully, it made a difference. Prejudice did not disappear, but it weakened. One evening, Daesung and Moonshadow returned to Seoul. They had been traveling for months, visiting different worlds. They were tired but happy. Hana met them at the apartment with a surprise. She had adopted a young Wolfkin pup whose parents had died. The pup was small and scared, but when she saw Moonshadow, her tail wagged. "Her name is Hope," Hana said. "I thought it was fitting." Moonshadow lay down so he was level with the pup. She walked over cautiously and sniffed him. Then she climbed onto his back and curled up in his fur. "She likes you," Hana said, smiling. Daesung watched them, his sister with the pup. Moonshadow being gentle and patient. This was family. Not blood family, but something just as strong. That night they had dinner together. Hana cooked traditional Korean food. They told stories and laughed. Hope fell asleep under the table. her small body rising and falling with each breath. Later, Daesung and Moonshadow sat by the window like they used to. The city lights sparkled below, but this time Daesung felt peace. Real peace. Do you ever think about the king's gift? Daesung asked. How it all started? Moonshadow thought about it. Sometimes, King Theron meant it as an insult. He wanted to get rid of me. He thought I was worthless. But he was wrong, Daesung said. Yes, because you did not see me as worthless. You saw me as a person, and that changed everything. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside, the world kept moving. But here, in this small apartment, they had everything they needed. Thank you, Moonshadow said quietly. For what? For choosing to save me. For being my friend. For helping me find my purpose. Daesung put his hand on Moonshadow's head, running his fingers through the soft fur. Thank you for being here. For helping me heal. For showing me that war does not have to define us. More wolfkin were being found every day. The bridge was growing. There was still work to do, still prejudice to fight, still wounds to heal. But they had proven something important. They had proven that beings from different worlds, different species, different origins could come together. They could understand each other. They could build something better. King Theron had given Moonshadow to Daesung as an unwanted burden. But that burden had become a blessing. It had become friendship. It had become hope, and from that hope a new future was being born. Daesung looked at his reflection in the window. For the first time in years, he did not see a soldier haunted by war. He saw someone who had found peace. Someone who had purpose. Beside him, Moonshadow's reflection looked back. A wolfkin who had been created as a weapon but chose to become a bridge builder instead. They were different. One human, one hybrid. But they understood each other in ways few others could. That understanding had changed everything. The night grew late. Hana went to bed. Hope slept in her room. Daesung and Moonshadow stayed by the window watching the city. Tomorrow we travel to the outer colonies, Moonshadow said. There are 50 wolfkin there who need help adjusting. I know, Daesung said. I am ready. Are you? This life is not easy. Always traveling. Always working. Never truly resting, Daesung smiled. I spent years as a soldier, always traveling, always fighting, never resting. This is better. This time I'm building instead of destroying. I am healing instead of hurting. And I am doing it with my best friend. Moonshadow's tail wagged. Best friend. I like that. They stayed up late planning for tomorrow, planning for the future. Outside, the sun began to rise, painting the sky with colors of orange and pink. A new dawn. A new day. A new chance to make the galaxy a better place. And they would face it together.